Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Halonwolf, and man, my mic sucks, so it's gonna be real low. But I'm gonna do this. Hopefully, I get a different audio recording to go with it. But I just wanted to talk about the new Ghostbuster trailer. We're gonna break it down right here on my channel. Hopefully, this will be the first breakdown. I know a lot of people have done reactions, but yeah, I don't want to do reactions. I want to do the breakdown. So let's start off first with a couple things that I've already seen that kind of make me wonder. So just looking at the picture released here, this is the poster for the Ghostbusters Afterlife. We do have a title now for summer 2020. And the questions that I have start off with, what happened to Ecto 1? So this movie happens after the second movie, which Ecto 1 was then become Ecto 1A. It had a different set of light bars, which were yellow, white, and green. It had more stuff on top. It had the Ghostbusters 2 logo. This is back to the original Ecto 1. So is this more of a Ghostbusters 2, or is this a continuation of the first Ghostbusters, and then this will make the second Ghostbusters with Vigo, the Carpathian, actually not canon? So that it's a good question to wonder what happened to the Ecto unit. That we lost all the lights. Maybe Egon took it apart. But that's just kind of a throwback that kind of. Plus, we get the synopsis that says this is all about after the cross-dimensional rip of '84, which would have been the original Ghostbusters with the Gozer and the building in Manhattan with Dana Barrett and Rick Moranis' character in that. So we're gonna go ahead and let's go ahead and deconstruct the trailer. I'm not gonna watch it. I'm just gonna step it forward and tell you kind of my thoughts. So let's go ahead and get over to the trailer here. So we start off. We get the kid. We start getting the introduction to the kids. Okay, and you're gonna see my little cursor as I move stuff around. Okay. So first off, we get these kids are riding in, and we see them on an old Camaro, or no, that's a Ford El Camino. They're kind of getting out. Looks like they're at some sort of oil rig, maybe. I don't know. And they ask, "What are you doing here?" And we're here because we're poor. And congratulations, we're evicted because that's what poor people happens. And we had no place to go. We had nothing but the clothes on our backs and no place to go, except for this really weird old house that our grandfather left to us. Now, the first thing I noticed is other than looking totally dilapidated, we've got, if you look at the top of the house, there's all sorts of satellite dishes and weather vanes and antennas, and then to the right of the house you see like three big, some kind of like electron storage units maybe. So maybe it's a power unit for an off-site containment system. So my thought was, maybe this was used after the firehouse went down or was blown up, that there was a storage containment used here, but to power it on these kind of rural power lines, they had to install this type of capacitor, these large capacitors. And of course you see the barn. It looks like the cave is, the top is caved in. There's definitely can't be safe for children, but we're going to let our children play inside the barn anyways and find stuff out. The only problems I'm having, so I didn't have a problem with the Ghostbusters, the female version. I thought it was really well done. I thought it had some nice comedy to it. I just didn't care for the actresses, except for Jones. I thought she was funny as hell. I thought she fit in really, really good. But I'm just not a big Melissa McCarthy fan. I think Grace and the other chick did very good jobs. Melissa McCarthy's just, her humor is a little bit out of my range. I'm not saying she's bad. I don't prefer her. So anyway, so we got these kids with the glasses. First throwback. Look at the glasses, and then go look at Egon Spengler. So right there we have a throwback. The glasses are, that's not the style today. So we see that. We see the glasses, the curly hair, and then we see the boy, hey, I'm looking at you big sexy ladies. So anyway, so they get rocked, and it's like earthquake, and they're like, hey, what's this earthquake? So they go over to this hole, which looks like it was, yeah, okay. So we get wood pilings, all this good stuff. So, and then, little ghost scares, something comes out, and whoa, did you see that? So it's a little town, in the middle of nowheres, no GPS. I got to use old-fashioned maps, I guess. Electricity will be there soon. But no, this is probably Paul Rudd showing where all the earthquakes have hit and in this radius. It looks like it's either going from town or going away from town, or maybe the ghosts are escaping Alcatraz in a tunnel. So, and then it shows that the town's shaking. Goo, you know. And some good one-liners from the boy. Remember that summer we died under the table? It was funny. I kind of chuckled at that. That was kind of great. So now this is our first clue to who these grandchildren are, or who they belong to. It's a puzzle. Like, this girl starts sliding around kind of like a Rubik's cube on the floor, and she pulls it up, and boom, ghost trap. And she says, "I found it in my living room." So right here, I'm telling you, I'll tell you, and I'll show you more evidence. But these grandchildren are Egon Spengler's grandchildren. Okay, so we got the ghost trap, and of course Paul Rudd's like, "Oh my God, this is amazing! It's a trap." And they said, "Well, what kind of trap?" And it's a ghost trap. Wow. Have you never seen one? And obviously the kids are like, "Well, I'm 12. Of course I've never seen one. This is like 30 years ago." So here we have like our first look at a ghost, and you see him up here in the corner off this big pressure cooker, and he's green and kind of blobby. I have a suspicion that this is going to be our favorite ghost friend, Slimer. So I have a feeling that Slimer is going to kind of be the catalyst that comes out. I think he was something to do with Egon. Well, hopefully they'll explain it, you know. So we have the granddaughter and Paul Rudd, and the Paul Rudd's explaining what happened 30 years ago in New York, and we're seeing video, and there's the Ecto-1, and so there's like YouTube, and someone had recorded, but they're using actual movie footage from the first one, which was kind of cool. I'm hoping that they show footage from the second one, from the Statue of Liberty when they made it walk, and the slime, and that would be fantastic. I don't think that's going to happen though. I think, again, like I said, from what I've seen so far, I have a feeling that we're going to kind of forget what happened in Ghostbusters 2. I think this is kind of be like, oh, Ghostbusters 1 happened, and all this stuff was put into hiding, and then maybe Ghostbusters 2 happened with finding a Cadillac hearse and being Ecto 1A and all that is kind of crazy. So, the boys in amazement. Look at his face. Wow, these guys are like badasses. And the girl's like kind of like, I know. My grandfather was crazy, man. He told me stories. So here we get the second look at another Ghostbuster equipment. It'd be the PKE meter, as she kind of walks towards this like shack, and we get this kind of idea that it looks like there's a board across it, so you're not supposed to go in there. She kind of slides down this pole into another room, which I'm assuming is some sort of like underground laboratory, or it almost looks like they took the fire pole and the actual fire station and basically buried underground. It is Egon. So again, like I said, I think it's Egon Spengler. So maybe it's just a built replica because it was so close and he could do his work. We've got a lot of different like mold, spores, and fungus. Again, there it is. To throw back to Egon, what's your hobby? Janine asks him. I collect more spores and fungus. Look at this. This is, I'm not a scientist by any degree, but I'm believing that these are all like his collection, so he moved it. And here we go. We got some more computer stuff. I mean, look at the 80s monitor on the back on the top there, and then of course the proton pack is dusty and looking old, and of course we know it's going to work because they said the half-life in the first one, half-life's only 1,000,000 years or 100 years or something like that. So this thing still works. It's still in good shape, and it looks like he was maybe working on a new feature or something. We do see a couple changes at first. Is off the cyclone. there used to be a bar that went across there, and that bar is not on this one. Now it looks like there was a hole in the middle of the cyclone, excuse me. So maybe Egon was repairing this? I don't know, but it makes me wonder because this is missing parts, and it's like, do the kids just like, is this like back to the, do they just know how to put it back together? Like, or is there like blueprints? Maybe there's blueprints laying around that show them and they can put it back together because they're supposedly really smart. Um, but it's not on, and we see it apart, and then it looks like the um, the heat sink there off the Cyclone is a little bit more pronounced than the first one. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But I do know the bar is missing. And maybe that's the screw that held the bar in place, and maybe it's just sat on there. It'd be interesting to find out. But what really concerns me is she touches it. We'll get to that part. There's Paul Rudd, and we see this ghost trap kind of like almost mimic an opening and then closes, and he drops it. Now, the problem I have with this, let's go back to the scene here. Is this the trap dying? Is there a ghost? There's a lot of questions, but what I'm thinking is maybe there's a ghost trapped inside there that hasn't been put into a containment unit, and now the actual small containment unit within the trap itself is starting to degrade, and the ghost might come out. I think this might tie into a scene we see later of like a ghost hauling ass through the buses and blowing stuff up, because this looks like it's the same shirt he's wearing here. So maybe this is a trap that's kind of like, it's got a ghost in it, and the containment system in the trap itself is breaking down. The ghost is starting to get free. So here we see the little girl. I think this is the little girl. It might be the little boy. Again, the hair, the curly hair. I'm not trying to say nothing that they look alike or nothing. I think it's great that they both look like Egon Spengler with the curly hair and the glasses and the kind of like a throwback. And of course, here's another clue to who this kid might be. Is the first suit he pulls back says Spengler. So we know this is Egon. I'm telling you, I think these are Egon's grandchildren. They said their grandfather died too, so this is definitely, I think it's definitely Spengler's grandkids. Although some people say it's supposed to be Ray Stance's grandkids, but I can't believe they would kill Ray Stance. You know. So again, here we got some. This is great because if you listen to it, the montage on this is really fantastic because it's call it fate, call it luck, call it karma, which is throwback to the original one when they first started Ghostbusters up. But here we are at school, and then we hear the rumbling, and this is the scene that whatever it is goes through, and there's see the same shirt. So, and there's the ghost trap on his car. On the hood of his car, we see the ghost trap, and there he is. So maybe he let whatever in there out, and now it's like hauling ass and breaking windows. So we know that he somehow is going to be tied. I hope they put Paul Rudd. I hope the kids are part of the new Ghostbusters, but I really would love to see Paul Rudd as kind of like that mentor, maybe even leader of the Ghostbusters, because he seems to be the only one that really thinks about it. You know, he knows pretty much good history. Of course, this is funny because we see Paul Rudd. He's in his car. He looks like he's getting ready to go somewhere. And we get this claw, and if that does not look like the dogs from Gozer, this would almost make me think that after the original Ghostbusters, Egon transported the packs, the original packs, the car, the containment unit, and then whatever caused the dimensional crossrift to open, he transported to this farm to kind of keep it contained. The problem with that would then mean that Ghostbusters 2 was everything was new. The proton packs were brand new. The car was new. Everything was brand new to the series. And the thought then would be there's a whole nother set of these, of the 4 proton packs or more. There's another car somewhere else in this stuff. And it could be something that they actually bring up in the next, like if they do a number 4, that'd be great. But this definitely looks like the dog, and it growls, and we hear growls. So we definitely think like this must be the Gozer dog or something close to it. So maybe we'll see something like Gozer again. I hope not. I hope it's not a rehash of the first one. but I hope that it does bring some elements back from that, the 85. So then we got the boy. He's in the car. We know this is Ecto-1. The shape of the glass, the dirtiness of it. It looks like it's just, we've got wavy lines where the blackout tape used to be, and he's like, "Come on, baby." I mean, you got the worn dash, and it looks like Play-Doh. I'd like to see the original car, because I don't think it looked like this on the dashboard. I could be wrong. I really could be wrong. So he gets it going, and then he's just like, "I'm just going to go driving through a field," and I don't know why it didn't come up, but then he's going through a field. And then we got the girl who's strapped into a seat, and I wonder if I could take this step by step. Nope, it won't let me. So, don't want to. Oh, nope, it only let me go 5 seconds backwards or forwards. She's got a proton pack. She's strapped into the seat, and maybe it looks like the proton pack's maybe attached to the back of the seat. I don't know. So it's like an ejector seat, but he calls it a gunner seat. It almost kind of like a throwback to a, like a Huey in the hellhole where the M60 was located. So she's strapped in. And then we hear the classic siren, and they're going down the street shooting at something. We can see that the Ecto-1 is in shit shape. Excuse my language, but we hear the siren, but there's no lights. None of the lights seem to be working on the car. They're going down, and at first it looks like they're just trying shit out, and they're like destroying like the theater. But here we go. Here's another scene. They're going down the street, and here we go. On the left side here, we got that green glob again. So I'm thinking again, it's Slimer, and maybe this is the first ghost they get to, And then the car comes to a screeching stop. You're left with the tire, and then the title, Ghostbusters Afterlife. So I'm kind of give you my feelings on the whole thing. I kind of talked to you. Look for the link in the description below. I'll link to the video so you can watch the teaser trailer. Please watch the teaser trailer, and then leave, and then see. But we come back to this issue where it's like we pick up from 1984, Ghostbusters 1, and it seems like Ghostbusters 2 didn't exist. We got these pictures of these great lights on Ecto-1, but then we don't see any of the lights in the trailer. And I understand, light bulbs burn out, the old-fashioned, is it going to be just the old-fashioned Ghostbuster car? They're not going to update it, and then maybe we see a Ghostbuster SUV at the end if they start up the actual Ghostbusters. So there's a lot left to kind of question about this, but put your money on it. You can take it to the bank. These are Egon Spengler's kids, guaranteed, or grandkids. How they're related, I don't know if it's mom or dad's related to Egon, and it'd be interesting to see if they explain any of that or if it's kind of a mystery. But I would assume that Egon probably had a close relationship with a female when he worked at the university in Ghostbusters 2 before they started up all that. It would be nice to see Paul Rudd's character actually be Oscar. Like if he would have tied it in that way and said, like, these are Spengler's kids, this is Oscar, who's Dana Barrett's son. Amazing. That would be an amazing, now you have the toss back to the original. You got Oscar from the second one. You got these kids who are Spengler's kids that would tie into him being a researcher, and he had a fling with a woman, or he was doing some sort of experiment with a woman. But I hope there's also clues. I hope Egon leaves some sort of clues for the kids to figure out who he was, not just kind of through Paul Rudd teaching them, and kind of help them develop kind of almost like a calling from the afterlife, because we know we're going to see the other Ghostbusters in this. So summer of 2020, I look forward to you guys checking it out. Ghostbusters 3, Ghostbusters Afterlife. You guys have a good one. I'll talk to you again soon.